Let's just dive right into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling a topic that brings both sweat and, let's be real, actual tears to gyms all over the world. Leg day. Look, if you're tuning into this, you already know the drill. You get under the heavy bar, you push through those grueling reps, and you work incredibly hard until your legs are literally shaking underneath you. It's totally brutal. It's exhausting. But there's a massive, incredibly common problem we're going to explore today based on some really fascinating insights.
So, why do your legs look exactly the same? Seriously, it's the ultimate frustration, right? You're working so incredibly hard, you're feeling the burn, doing the whole intense routine, only to realize that when you look in the mirror, zero visible growth. Absolutely nothing. You're paying the physical toll, but the aesthetic and muscular rewards, they're just not showing up. And man, it is incredibly demoralizing.
And that brings us to a rather painful number, 6. As in 6 whole months. Think about it. You look down at your legs, and they look exactly the same as they did half a year ago. That's 6 months of sweat and shaking legs, seemingly totally wasted. But here's the bold claim the research highlights. This is not bad luck. You aren't genetically cursed, and you certainly aren't immune to muscle growth. If you're stuck in this 6-month plateau, there's a distinct mechanical reason for it.
Actually, the answer comes down to the number 3. Right now, there are exactly 3 specific mistakes you're probably making. Not 10, not 20, just 3 essential things. And you know, the beauty of this is that by diagnosing these 3 highly specific errors, we can completely restart your progress. So we're going to walk through every single one of these culprits directly. Mistake number 1, squat decked.
This right here is the first major issue actively cheating your legs out of growth. And it focuses on how you approach the absolute king of leg exercises, the squat. I mean, think about what you see in the gym every single day. Watch most guys step up to the rack. They load up the bar with a ton of plates, unrack it, and then they go down, maybe halfway, sometimes even less than that? They rack the weight, puff out their chest, and they call it a squat. But in reality, their legs call it nothing. It's a pretty stark reality check about the difference between what we think is a squat versus what the muscle actually experiences.
So what you call a squat, going halfway down, is failing you. What your legs actually need is for you to go to parallel or, ideally, slightly below. Now, why does this matter so much? Well, because the bottom of the squat, that super deep, incredibly uncomfortable part that most people actively avoid, is exactly where your quads and your glutes are placed under maximum tension. If you avoid the depth, you avoid the tension. And if you avoid the tension, well, you avoid the growth. It literally is that simple.
So, here is the fix. You need to squat until your thighs are at least parallel to the floor. What's fascinating here is that fixing this is simple in theory, but man, it's going to feel so much harder immediately because you're finally forcing those muscles to do the actual work they've been missing out on. Now, you might have to drop the weight on the bar to do this, but trust me, the return on investment for your muscle growth is going to be absolutely massive.
Okay, moving on to mistake 2, collapsing knees.
Now, if squat depth is the biggest ego problem, collapsing knees is the absolute most common mistake made on leg day, period. You see it constantly, and it is a massive red flag. Let's break down the root biomechanical causes here. When you're squatting and your knees cave inward, your body is essentially waving a white flag. It's signaling a specific flaw, telling you one of 2 things. Either your glutes are just too weak and are failing to stabilize your legs, or your stance is fundamentally wrong for your specific anatomy. What's really cool about this is that your body is directly communicating with you. That knee collapse isn't just bad form. It's a built-in diagnostic tool pointing straight to weak glutes or poor foot placement.
The fix for this? Actively push your knees out. You can't just kind of hope they stay straight. You have to mentally and physically force them outward during the movement. By actively pushing your knees out, you engage the glutes, you open up the hips, and you create a safe, super powerful foundation to push that weight back up. This correction, it's completely non-negotiable if you want to protect your joints and stimulate actual growth.
All right, let's hit mistake 3, the leg press. This brings us to a classic machine sitting in pretty much every gym across the globe. The leg press is fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it is a massive trap for something called the 80% rep. Let's define exactly what that is. Just watch almost any guy on the leg press. What do? They push this incredibly heavy weight up almost to full extension and then, boom, immediately let it drop back down. They're just using flawed momentum, bouncing the sled back and forth. They never fully extend, and crucially, they never squeeze the muscle at the top of the movement. They're doing all the sweaty, heavy work of the 80%, but leaving the 20% that actually triggers growth entirely on the table. To cure this, we use a precise 4-step sequence for the perfect leg press. Step 1, extend fully at the top of every single rep. Step 2, hold that for exactly 1 second. Step 3, squeeze your quads. The experts actually paint a great picture here. You want to squeeze them like you're trying to lock your knees completely straight. And finally, step 4, slowly lower the weight back down. By doing this, you are taking total control of the weight, eliminating that bouncy momentum and forcing the muscle fibers to fire at their absolute peak contraction.
Unlocking your leg growth.
Unlocking your leg growth doesn't require some magical new routine or hours of extra time in the gym. It really just comes down to fixing those 3 precise things. Hitting proper squat depth to maximize tension, actively pushing your knees out to ensure safe biomechanics, and fully extending and squeezing on the leg press to kill that 80% rep. That is literally all it takes to restart your progress and get a real return on all that shaking and sweating. So I want to leave you with this somewhat provocative challenge. Will you check your ego at the door on your next leg day? Because doing these 3 things right, well, it means you're probably going to have to lower the weight on the bar and the machine. And yeah, it will feel harder. But doing it right is the only way your legs are actually going to look different 6 months from now. Take these fixes, apply them immediately, and see the difference for yourself. If this explainer helped you spot your mistakes and gave you the tools to fix them, make sure to subscribe. Until next time, stay focused and train smart.